Have you ever wondered why, despite working so hard, prosperity never seems to come your way? It feels as if something invisible is holding you back, like chains keeping you stagnant, unable to move forward or make progress. The Stoics, wise philosophers of the past, warned about this. There are habits that silently bind you to poverty, both financial and, more importantly, spiritual. And the worst part is that we often don't even realize we're trapped by them. Today, I'm going to show you 5 of these habits that not only keep you from financial success, but also drain your energy, undermine your confidence, and make you believe that wealth and prosperity are unattainable. These behaviors, which you might be nurturing without knowing, are like anchors preventing you from sailing towards a more prosperous future. Now I invite you to stay until the end of this video, because the transformation you seek begins with knowledge. If you want to break free from these invisible chains that hold you back from reaching your true potential and take the first step towards a more prosperous life, as the Stoic philosophers teach us, then hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Together, we will transform the habits that limit you into behaviors that propel you towards success and serenity. And since we're talking about knowledge, I'd like to invite you to click on the first pinned comment and check out my ebook, Overcome Procrastination with Stoic Philosophy, the ultimate guide to success. In it, you'll discover the ancient Stoic secrets and techniques for living a focused, balanced life to achieve success. Don't miss this opportunity to start changing your life today. Let's get started. When we talk about poverty, we often think only of the lack of money, but for the Stoics, true poverty goes far beyond that. One of the greatest obstacles that keep us trapped in this condition is excessive attachment to material things. Have you ever stopped to think about how this obsession with owning more and more could actually be holding you back, preventing you from achieving a full and satisfying life? The Stoics, wise in their reflections on life, understood that attachment to material things is a dangerous trap. When we let ourselves be dominated by this insatiable need to accumulate possessions, we end up losing something much more valuable, our inner freedom. And it is this freedom that truly gives us a sense of prosperity and well-being. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said that wealth is slavery if a man does not know how to use it. And this makes perfect sense, because think about it. What good is having a house full of objects if deep down you feel an inner void? What good is a high bank balance if you can't sleep peacefully at night, worried about what still needs to be achieved? Society teaches us that success is measured by how much we possess. But is that really the case? I invite you to reflect. Are the things you have or want to have really what matters? Are we confusing the accumulation of goods with true wealth? Stoicism teaches us to replace this attachment with an appreciation for what is truly important. Instead of clinging to the desire to own, why not value what really counts? Your virtues, your character, your human relationships. All of this cannot be bought, and it is what truly defines your worth as a person. When you detach from the material, something incredible happens. You start to see life in a different way. The anxiety of always wanting more begins to dissipate, and in its place, a sense of peace and contentment with what you already have emerges. And it is this change in perspective that can open the doors to a more prosperous life, not just financially, but in every aspect. I know it may seem difficult after all. We are surrounded by messages telling us otherwise, but try, little by little, to let go of this need to always have more. Start appreciating the small things, what you already have and perhaps don't even value that much. You'll see that over time, your perception of what wealth is will change. Moreover, by sharing this reflection, you can help others free themselves from this trap as well. Comment below, what do you think? Have you ever felt that attachment to material things was holding you back? Let's talk about it and learn together to let go of what doesn't matter, to focus on what truly makes a difference in our lives. True wealth, according to the Stoics, is not in what we possess, but in what we are. Shall we reflect on this? I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Before we move on to the next point, I want you to take a moment to think about how much attachment to material things may have influenced your life so far. And if you've already started reflecting on this, now is the time to take another step towards a mindset that can truly transform your reality. Let's talk about a feeling that we have all experienced at some point: the fear of loss. Maybe you felt this when thinking about losing a job, an opportunity, or even a possession that you greatly value. It's natural for fear to arise. After all, we want to protect what we've achieved, right? But what the Stoics teach us is that this fear often keeps us trapped in poverty. Have you ever stopped to think about how many opportunities you've let pass by out of fear of losing what you already have? The fear of loss is one of the most paralyzing habits we can cultivate. It prevents us from taking risks, exploring new possibilities, and growing. And without growth, how can we prosper? Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, offers us a powerful reflection. We should not fear loss because everything we have truly belongs to the universe. This phrase, simple yet profound, carries a liberating truth. What we have today, whether it's a material good, a social position, or even a relationship, is only temporarily in our care. It belongs to the universe, to life in constant change. When we understand and, more importantly, accept this idea, something shifts within us. Fear begins to lose its grip because we realize that loss is a part of life. Everything is impermanent, and this doesn't have to be a source of sadness but rather of freedom. By embracing impermanence, we free ourselves from constant anxiety and open ourselves to new possibilities. Now, imagine what your life would be like if, instead of clinging to what you're afraid to lose, you focused on what you could gain, the doors that would open, the experiences you could have. This is the mindset shift that the Stoics invite us to make, and I invite you to reflect on this and write in the comments, "I will let go of fear." Write this in the comments if you're ready to leave fear behind and open the doors to growth and prosperity. We've already reflected on attachment to material things and the fear of loss, two habits that, according to the Stoics, can keep us trapped in poverty. But there's another silent enemy you may have faced countless times: procrastination. Procrastination is that treacherous habit that makes us delay what we know we need to do. It is subtle, insidious, and often disguises itself as other things: a distracting message, a less important task that we decide to do first, or even the idea that today is not the right day. How many times have you caught yourself postponing an important task, thinking you could leave it for later? The truth is that this later often never comes, and we get stuck in a cycle of inaction that prevents us from progressing. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest exponents of Stoicism, warns us of this danger with the following reflection: "What is not beneficial for the hive is not beneficial for the bee." This phrase may seem simple, but it carries a profound lesson. It teaches us that our inaction does not only affect us, but also everyone around us. When we procrastinate, we are failing to contribute something valuable to the world. Each of us has a unique role, a contribution that only we can make. And when we delay this contribution, we are not only harming ourselves, but also depriving the world of something only we can offer. Lost time is never recovered. This is a harsh but necessary truth. Every minute we let pass without acting is a minute we will never get back. And if you stop to think, life is made up of these minutes, of these choices we make every day. When we fail to act, we allow life to pass us by, letting opportunities slip through our fingers. Every day we postpone what needs to be done. We distance ourselves a little more from our dreams. Think of all the dreams you have, all the goals you want to achieve. Now think of how many times you've left for tomorrow something you could have done today. How many projects were left unfinished? How many brilliant ideas never made it off the paper because you waited for the right moment? Procrastination ties us to mediocrity, making us believe that we will always have time, that there will always be a second chance. But the reality is that time is our most valuable resource, and once lost, it cannot be recovered. And here's the crucial point: why do we procrastinate? Often it is out of fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear that if we try and don't succeed, it will mean we are not capable. But the Stoics teach us to face these fears head on. They remind us that action is the antidote to procrastination. It's not about being perfect, but about doing what needs to be done, even if it's not perfect. Because perfection is an illusion, but progress is real. Overcoming procrastination is not just a matter of discipline, it is a matter of survival for those who wish to thrive. When we fail to act, we are, in fact, sabotaging ourselves. We are creating barriers between us and success, between us and our dreams. And this is something only we can change. No one else can act for us. No one else can take the steps we need to take. I know it's not easy. We all face the temptation to put things off. But think about how your life would be if, instead of procrastinating, you decided to act now. Think of all the opportunities you could seize, all the dreams you could realize. The feeling of accomplishing something, of taking a step forward, is incomparable. And that feeling is within your reach. You just have to decide that now is the time to act. Now here's the challenge. What have you been putting off in your life? What is that task, that project, That dream that you know needs your action now? I invite you to reflect deeply on this and to make a decision today. Don't leave it for later, because every day that passes without action is one less day to achieve what you desire so much. Right now, in the comments if you are committed to leaving procrastination behind and starting to take action, not just for yourself, but for everything you can offer to the world. Let's overcome this habit that keeps us stagnant. We're past the midpoint of the video, and if you've made it this far, I ask that you leave a like so I can bring more content like this in the future. I invite you to stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share is something few people know, but it makes all the difference in achieving a prosperous financial and spiritual life. I also invite you to click on the first pinned comment and check out my ebook, Overcome Procrastination with Stoic Philosophy, the ultimate guide to success. In it, you'll discover the ancient Stoic secrets and techniques to live a focused life with balance, leading to success. Don't miss this opportunity to start changing your life today. Let's continue. Before we move on to the fourth habit that keeps us tied to poverty, I want you to imagine yourself in an everyday situation, something we have all experienced at some point. Imagine you're facing a challenge. It could be at work, in a relationship, or even something personal like a goal you've been putting off. The scenario is this: something didn't go as planned, and the first thing that comes to mind is to blame someone or something. Maybe you think, if it weren't for so-and-so, or if the circumstances were different. Sound familiar? This victim mentality is a habit that, if not overcome, keeps us trapped in poverty. Not just financial, but also emotional and spiritual. The Stoics deeply understood this. They teach us that, although we cannot control everything that happens around us, we are entirely responsible for how we react to these situations, and this responsibility is liberating. Let me tell you a short story to illustrate this. Imagine a young woman named Helena. She always had big dreams, but it seemed like life was always against her. She lost her job, had problems in her relationships, and financial difficulties began to pile up. Whenever something went wrong, she would say to herself, "This isn't my fault. Life is unfair to me." This victim mentality started to dominate every aspect of Helena's life. She stopped trying to improve her situation because she believed that nothing she did would change the fact that the universe was against her. She began living in a cycle of excuses and victimhood, without realizing that by adopting this stance, she was only sinking deeper into poverty, not just materially, but in spirit. Then one day, while reading about Stoic philosophy, she came across a quote from Seneca that deeply impacted her. "Fortune can take away your wealth, but only you can choose to lose your soul." Helena realized that although she had lost many things, the only thing that truly mattered, her soul, was still under her control. She understood that she could not change what had already happened, but she could choose how to react from that moment on. Helena decided that she would no longer be a victim of circumstances. She stopped blaming the world and began to look within herself. She asked herself, "What can I do now to change my reality?" And from that question, she started taking concrete steps. She sought out new opportunities, worked hard to improve her skills, and gradually, she saw her life transform. Helena's story is a powerful example of how the victim mentality can keep us trapped, and how by changing our perspective, we can transform our reality. The Stoics teach us that victimhood is a choice, and that choice distances us from prosperity. They encourage us to take control of our reactions, to let go of excuses, and to act according to our values and goals. When you find yourself in a difficult situation, what is your first reaction? Do you blame others, life, or do you look within and ask yourself what you can do to change the situation? The choice is yours, and that choice defines the course of your life. Seneca reminds us that we may lose our wealth, but it's our decision whether or not we lose our soul. This means that regardless of external circumstances, we have the power to choose our attitudes and actions. Don't let excuses and victimhood keep you trapped. Take control of your life, your choices, and start acting now. And here's a challenge. Write in the comments, "I choose to act." If you're ready to let go of excuses and take control of your life, leave behind this victim mentality and take responsibility now to change your life. Remember, every action you take today defines your tomorrow. Choose to act, choose to prosper. Throughout this journey we've walked together, we've already explored how attachment to material things, fear of loss, procrastination, and victimhood can tie us to poverty. Now we've arrived at the fifth and final habit that, according to the Stoics, can prevent us from achieving true prosperity: the lack of self-discipline. Self-discipline is an essential virtue in Stoicism. Without it, We become like ships adrift, guided by the winds of circumstances and momentary impulses, instead of following a steady course towards our goals. But what does it really mean to have self-discipline? And why is it so crucial for those who wish to build a prosperous life? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, teaches us that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. And this metaphor is powerful. Think of your goals, the dreams you wish to fulfill. Now imagine these goals are on one side of a chasm, and you are on the other. The only way to cross that chasm is by building a solid bridge, step by step. That bridge is self-discipline. Without self-discipline, we remain trapped in habits that sabotage our progress. We spend more than we can, delay important decisions, and let valuable opportunities slip through our fingers. Imagine, for example, someone who wants to save money for a big project but constantly gives in to the temptations of impulsive purchases. Or someone who dreams of starting a business but continuously delays planning due to a lack of discipline in organizing their time. In both cases, the lack of self-discipline prevents these dreams from becoming reality. The Stoics believed that self-discipline is not just a matter of willpower, but of alignment with virtue. When we are disciplined, we act according to our deepest values, rather than being guided by momentary desires. Self-discipline keeps us on the path of virtue, and it is this path that leads to true prosperity, both material and spiritual. Let's illustrate this with a story. Imagine a man named John. From a young age, John dreamed of having his own business. He had brilliant ideas but always found excuses not to start. One day he was too tired. Another day he had other priorities, and so time passed. When he finally decided to start, he realized he didn't have the necessary resources because he had spent his money on unimportant things. Once again, the lack of self-discipline prevented him from moving forward. It was then that John decided to change. He began studying Stoicism and understood that without self-discipline, his dreams would never come true. He started writing down his goals and building small daily habits that helped him stay focused. Instead of spending money on frivolous things, he began to save. Instead of delaying his tasks, he began working on them a little every day, even when he was tired. Over time, John realized he was getting closer and closer to achieving his dream. John's self-discipline not only helped him reach his goals, but it also brought a sense of peace and satisfaction because he knew he was acting in alignment with his values and that he was in control of his life. He was no longer a ship adrift but a firm captain, steering his vessel towards a safe harbor. And now I ask you, how is your self-discipline? Have you been firm in your decisions? Or have you let circumstances and momentary desires guide your actions? Remember that self-discipline is the key to turning your dreams into reality. Without it, you can have all the goals in the world, but you will never achieve them. Here's our final challenge. If you're committed to strengthening your self-discipline and building that bridge between your goals and accomplishments, write the word discipline in the comments. This is a great way to signal to your brain that you are willing to change. The road to prosperity, according to the Stoics, is paved with virtues like self-discipline. And by reinforcing this virtue in your life, you will not only be getting closer to your goals, but also living in accordance with your deepest values. Write discipline in the comments, and let's build this bridge to fulfillment together. We've reached the end of this journey, and now you know. These 5 habits may be tying you to poverty without you even realizing it. Stoic philosophy offers us a way of thinking and living that frees us from these bonds, guiding us towards a life richer in virtues, peace of mind, and yes, material prosperity. So, how about starting to apply these principles today? Every small step you take can transform your reality and bring you closer to the life you desire. If this content brought you value, like the video and subscribe to the channel. This not only helps me, but also allows more people to discover these valuable lessons. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new content, and tell me in the comments, which habit will you change first? Let's continue this conversation and support each other on this journey of growth. Thank you so much for being here. Together we can achieve true prosperity. If you enjoyed the video, like and share it with your friends.